Good afternoon to everyone who's joined us for this week 4 bonus video on breaking plateaus and stalls. My name is Carol Lee Kane, and I'm a certified health and wellness consultant, extremely passionate about health, and so excited today to go over some of the things that you can look at adjusting, some of the tweaks to make to improve your results if you feel like you're on a plateau or a stall. It happens to all of us, so it's not to worry that you're unusual. Let's start out with our disclaimer first. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Wakai's products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We do not offer medical advice. We always recommend you consult with a health professional, preferably one who understands diet, lifestyle, the ketogenic diet. BulaFit is a comprehensive system promoting a ketogenic lifestyle, which includes diet and supplements as well as exercise. Average weight loss is approximately 1 to 2 pounds a week, up to 15 pounds total. If you need a copy of this, please let me know. Okay, so when we talk about breaking a plateau or stall when you're doing the ketogenic lifestyle, the first thing we need to talk about is starting with realistic expectations. So I'm going to share what we normally hear, kind of what happens to the average person when they start on the ketogenic lifestyle. Now, as I share this, please understand that your results can and will vary. Everyone has different issues maybe going on with them. Everyone loses weight differently. But this is just kind of a generalization of what normally happens. Normally, as people start the ketogenic diet, in their first 1 to 4 weeks, they tend to see a lot of rapid weight loss as they cut out their carbs, they go over into fat burning mode, they go into the ketosis process. A lot of times the results are pretty dramatic, not only in weight loss, but in energy and mental clarity right away in that 1 to 4 week time frame. And again, you may be different. As you hit month 2, or for some people it might be week 3, but as you hit kind of that next phase of the ketogenic diet, most people start to see weight loss slow down. And after you've kind of come off this amazing month and had a high from having so much success, it can be disappointing now that it's slowed down. That is actually normal, and that is the way the body works. The body is used to being at your heavy weight, and it needs some time to reset and recalibrate before it's willing to continue dropping weight. It needs to feel safe, like you are doing something that's sustainable, something that's healthy for it. You're especially going to see this if you've done a lot of dieting in the past and your body has gotten into that yo-yo mentality. It's thinking, okay, you're going to restrict calories or do something crazy here. So maybe I should stop losing weight and be careful till I know what this person is up to. So remember to give your body some time to do that. Now, if you continue to notice that you're dropping inches, you have to tighten your belt, or like happened to me, all your clothes are just a little too loose and the scale isn't even moving necessarily. But every time you put something on, it's too big, or it has more room in it than it had before. If your energy and mental clarity are fantastic and you're feeling really good, you are not in a stall. You need to give your body time to regenerate, to start dropping weight again. So be patient and let it do its thing, especially if you're past your first month. Now, when does it become a stall? Again, varies by person. But a lot of people, somewhere in the 3 to 5 month time span of their keto journey, do see a period of stalling. And again, it's more just of a healing, regenerating time for the body to go ahead and reset and come back from all the abuse we've put on it over all the years with eating high carb, with eating all the toxins. So, but if you still feel great, changes in clothes, you're on the right track. Now, where we start to look at it becoming a stall is when your energy and mental clarity aren't all that great. If you're not losing inches, there's no changes in your clothes. Basically, if you're seeing nothing at all. So let's talk about some of the reasons for that. And the very first thing that we're going to go over is, are you addressing your core needs, your foundations of health with the GT Total Pack? And when we talk about the core, if you're not familiar with this, please go back and listen to the core video that's part of our week 1 of the 4 weeks to keto. When we are using the core package, we are addressing making sure your digestion is working, making sure you are detoxing both old and new toxins, making sure that you have your vitamins and minerals, other essential nutrients. We're also working on inflammation. Now, I want to mention with this, if your digestion is not working properly and you're taking on a lot of fat, the body is going to struggle now to break down the fat you're taking, so you're not going to have the fuel you need to burn body fat. And that's a big problem with people, and why they don't lose weight on the ketogenic diet is when there's that problem with digestion. That's why we use the ginger. The daily detox is also part of it. When you've got a digestive tract loaded with toxins and chemicals and poisons and fermenting food, that creates a problem again with digestion. It creates inflammation. That leads to a rise in cortisol. And when your inflammation is up and your cortisol levels are up, your weight is not going to drop. So the detox, the daily detox, and the ginger together are so important. Inflammation. So many people have inflammation throughout their bodies. They might be experiencing a swelling or joint pain, but it's just everywhere. And again, so much of it stems from that bad digestion. And once that inflammation train starts, it's hard to turn it off. And so we've got to turn it off. And that is where the turmeric is so powerful. Now, when we look at the other 2 products in our GT Total Pack, the Multi-Essentials and the Sport and Go, this is providing all of your essential vitamins, minerals, some amino acids, and some adaptogenic herbs. So these are all working in concert to make sure your thyroid's functioning, make sure you've got your B vitamins, make sure you have healthy energy, healthy kidney function, make sure your cortisol and stress levels are balanced, that your adrenal glands are supported. So all of these things together absolutely change the effectiveness of the ketogenic lifestyle. So if you're trying to do keto and you're not using these products, I cannot recommend enough that you use all of these products. Particularly if you have other ongoing health issues. For example, if you've got food allergies or inflammation or no gallbladder, if you've got anything going on with the liver or the gallbladder, digestion, make sure that you're using more of the ginger. 2 is our maintenance dose, and up to 4 to 6 if you've got more severe issues, if you feel like you need more support. I know I never take less than 6 because I have those digestive issues, which are so much better now. And that daily detox, same thing. If you feel like you have more toxins, if you feel like you need more support, more kidney support, make sure that you feel free to take more if you want to take more. Inflammation. If you've got widespread inflammation, don't use 2 turmeric. That's maintenance. Use 4 to 6. And remember, you can use our culinary sizes if you need another budget option. Second of all, if you feel like you are having cravings where you're going to the fridge and you're looking for more, you're full and you know it, but you're just not quite satisfied, nothing really, you're not craving, say, chocolate or anything specific, you're just looking for something, consider adding some of our Mineral Garden. The reason for this is minerals are what we're missing when we have those cravings, when we just kind of have the munchies. And for so many people, when they add extra plant minerals, like are in our Mineral Garden, does such amazing things for appetite, cutting your appetite down. It's just, those cravings go away. I know this is a huge deal for me personally. I use several ounces a day just because I do better in ketosis, so much better. The Mineral Garden has kind of a prune juice or a concentrated cranberry juice flavor. You can mix it into your Keto Fuel shake. You can take it straight as a shot and then drink, say, your delicious Sport and Go after it. And some people think it tastes just fine. So it does vary by the person there, but it is a strong taste. Usually 1 to 2 ounces a day. It also gives you additional nutrition through the phytochemicals and antioxidants of a number of about 30 fruits and vegetables. Amazing, amazing product. Don't be afraid to use more minerals. Now, so if you are taking the products already and you have that covered, it's often time to recheck your ratios, meaning you need to track your protein, fat, and carbs for a few days. I like to either use the Keto Diet app to look these up if it doesn't say on my nutritional label or my food doesn't have that nutritional label, or Chronometer is an app that a lot of people really like for the ketogenic diet. You can just look that up online. Remember that we need to start with that minimum 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio. We've gone over this multiple times throughout this 4-week series. We went over it in most detail in week 1. So if you need a refresher, go back to week 1. You need twice as much fat as protein on any given meal every day. So not a daily total of 2 to 1. It needs to be 2 to 1 really every time you eat, so at every meal. What happens is people get comfortable with the ketogenic diet, we tend to drift a little bit and we start adding a little more protein than we realized, or a few more carbs, or a little less fat. So this is why going back to your ratios and making sure you're doing well is so important. I know one of the ambassadors I was working with was doing super well on her fat, doing well on her protein, but had crept back up to 70 carbs. So no, she definitely wasn't losing weight. So make sure you take a look at that. Now, if you find you are still on the 2 to 1, you might be someone who has more problems with blood sugar or more health challenges, and you're just not able to get into full ketosis at that 2 to 1 ratio. That's where you want to look at going to a 3 to 1 fat to protein ratio and making sure you're under 25 net carbs. And remember, to figure net carbs, we subtract total fiber from total carbs, as well as we can subtract sugar alcohols from total carbs. And that gives us our net carb number. Now, this troubleshooting tip is directed toward women. I would imagine there were some men, but generally men can lose weight easier than women, as we already know, unfortunately. So on the ketogenic diet, we don't talk about counting calories for the most part. As a general rule, the only time that I have seen calories be a problem for people is if their protein was too high. So let's say, for example, a 150-pound woman was eating 100 grams of protein, which is way more than our formula for protein, where we divide your weight by 2.2, and that's the grams of protein you use. So if she's eating 100 grams of protein to get a 2 to 1 fat to protein ratio, she would now need to eat 200 grams of fat. And when you run the numbers for calories, you get into the 3,000. I even had one person that was into the 4,000 calories a day range. And obviously, you're going to gain weight at that many calories because you're not burning, unless you're doing extremely vigorous physical activity, probably running a marathon, you're not going to burn 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. So if you suspect that you're one of these people, make sure your ratios are correct, make sure your protein is where it needs to be, divide your weight by 2.2 to figure that out, then go ahead and take a look at your calories. And we're not talking going down to 700 calories here. We're usually looking at something in the range of 15 to 2,000. So for a lot of people, it's not even a low-calorie diet. But this is something that you're going to need to experiment with yourself, because while I am giving you general guidelines, everyone is different based on their insulin sensitivity, the amount of weight they have to lose, their overall health, even genetics. There's so many things that come into this. Now, this is a big one that is a problem for a lot of people, both men and women. And we say it as a joke, have you gone nuts? And what we mean is, have you gotten into eating too many nuts? Now, nuts like almonds and macadamia and even pecans are wonderful ketogenic foods. However, the old commercial on Lay's potato chips, you can't eat just one? That's kind of how nuts are. They're so good that it's so easy to just go nuts about them. And what happens when we do that is we mistakenly start to rack up a tremendous amount of calories. We start to increase our protein and even our carbs as you eat too many. Don't be too cheesy. Again, cheese is one of my favorite foods. I know so many of you love it too. And it's easy to just pick up cheese and eat cheese and eat cheese and eat cheese. Cheese is one of those foods, and again, we went over this in more detail in week 1 when we talked about how that cheese is equal parts fat and protein. Only exception is cream cheese. All the other cheeses, equal parts fat and protein. So every time you pick up cheese, you're contributing to your protein intake as well. Now, what happens with both the nuts and the cheese is they end up throwing you out of ketosis, largely because of the protein factor. So be careful. Cheese and nuts should not always be your go-to snacks. And if they are, you need to look for different options, and you also need to consider your portion sizes. This is one that Dr. Lindell talks about. He says that whenever he has a lot of nuts or a lot of cheese, his blood sugar is elevated the next day and he's not in very good ketosis. When he stays away from them, he's in excellent ketosis. And I can say from personal experience, I'm not nearly as affected by nuts as I am by cheese. Cheese is a really big problem for me. So I really do limit the cheese and just replace it. I do use it sparingly. So we'll talk about measuring your blood sugar and some ways you can check in one of our upcoming slides. But as you're testing this, test one or the other. Don't pull out both because then you won't know what it is. Are you having too much overall dairy? Now on the ketogenic diet, we avoid milk because it's high carb. But we tend to do a lot of cream cheese, sour cream, heavy whipping cream, butter. And sometimes people are slightly sensitive to dairy, and when they go on a ketogenic diet and they start eating a lot more dairy, that sensitivity increases. And if you're one of those people, you might be experiencing feelings of extra phlegm or congestion after eating dairy products. Or even if you have a history of ear infections as a child, that can be a big sign that you're dairy sensitive. Now, if you feel like you're dairy sensitive, this is something that can also create that inflammation response and raise your blood sugar and help kick you out of ketosis. So if you are dairy sensitive, the most likely culprits, they're going to be things like heavy whipping cream, sour cream, cheese, and your least likely to be a problem foods are going to be butter. And that's because butter does not have a protein in it. Butter is strictly dairy fat, and that's usually where the problem lies. Now, in our FAQ section on Keto Made Easy, we talk about the keto fuel having some dairy, and we talk about what to do if you are dairy intolerant. So make sure you review that ketomadeeasy.com/FAQs for facts. Most people can do the keto fuel because of its high quality and very low lactose amounts, but if you're someone who's worried, just try it cautiously. And yes, you can do keto 100% dairy-free. Again, on the FAQ section, we have a cookbook that we recommend called The Keto Diet by Leanne Vogel that has completely dairy-free recipes. So let's talk about fasting blood sugar now. This is something that Dr. Randy Lundell talks about. If your blood sugar, and let me just back up and define fasting. For those of you who aren't familiar, fasting blood sugar is your blood sugar first thing in the morning, right when you get up. It's not after you've been up for an hour. It's not after you've eaten anything or started drinking anything. It is right when you get up. Blood sugar goes up naturally shortly after waking up, so it's important to measure it when you get up. Blood sugar of 80, you're in ketosis. You had good meals the previous day. Blood sugar of 90, you're borderline ketosis. You did pretty well, but probably not enough to be fully into ketosis or getting that full mental clarity and fat burning result. Blood sugar of 100 plus, definitely not in ketosis. We definitely need to change your diet. And this is a really easy measure to take. It's inexpensive. Just go to Walmart. You can get like the Rely On brand glucose testers and strips. You can get them without a prescription. You're probably looking at $25. Now, I need to make an important note. If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, these numbers may not apply to you. So if you are one of these people, how would you judge this? If your blood sugar is elevated above normal, what you are looking for is a consistent trend of your blood sugar coming down. If your blood sugar is continuing to trend down, you're starting to feel better. Maybe you're even needing less medication or less insulin. And make sure that you're working with your doctor, that you're communicating with them on how to reduce that. If it's coming down, if you're losing weight, then don't worry about these exact numbers. You can still watch, though, if you're taking in cheese and nuts and see how your blood sugar responds. If whatever your normal number is, if it's higher after cheese, then you know that cheese is one of your triggers and you should probably minimize it. Same thing with nuts. So just be aware of that. Do watch your numbers. They should be coming down. And the more problems you have with blood sugar, the more problems you have with insulin, the more important it is to make absolutely sure that you are feeding your body all the nutrition it needs, all of that core package. And you would be a great candidate to add the extra minerals. Again, not saying that any of our products diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease or illness. We're talking about supporting the body's ability, supporting healthy blood sugar levels. And those are really the basics of what we do for troubleshooting. If you have additional questions, don't be afraid to ask for help. You can always talk with other BulaFit warriors on the BulaFit Facebook page or at our Wakaya events. Check out the FAQ section on KetoMadeEasy.com. Revisit the whole Getting Started section. And finally, if you feel like you would like this, you can always schedule a personal consultation to go over any health concerns, tips on using the product specific to you, meal plans, ratios, and more. I always love to help people one-on-one with this. You can see my email at the bottom of the screen. You can connect with me that way. Hopefully this helps you break a stall or just understand that maybe you weren't in a stall. And thank you so much for all that you do to make a difference in your own life, to be there for other people, and to make a difference in the lives of others.